Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Carvel Community Meeting. Today's date is June 30th, 2022. If you are watching this as a recording from home, we encourage you to come join us live. We meet every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. It's a good opportunity for you to come and meet the maintainers, other members of the community, bring up any questions you have about using any of the Carvel tools, have any feature requests you want to bring up with the maintainers, or if you simply just want to listen in and what the maintainers are working on. We would love for you to come and join us live. If you do have something you wish to bring up and you want to come to the meeting, and for those that are on the meeting today, just go ahead and put that item into the discussion topic section at the bottom of the agenda here, and we will get to it once we get through all the other items. If you're unable to meet us live and you still want to reach out to us, there are other ways to do so. You can find us in the Carvel channel in the Kubernetes Slack workspace. You can email us in our Google groups. You can find us in GitHub within any of our project repos, and you can find us on Twitter at Carvel_dev. At any point that you are interacting with us or any other members of the community, please make sure to read and abide by our code of conduct, which is listed here, and you can be found in any of our repos as well. And for those that are using the Carvel tools, just a reminder, we do have this pinned issue here that we would love for you to add a comment to, outlining your use case of any of the Carvel tools that you're using. We just want to know more details about how others are using the tools. It helps us plan for the development of the tools, and it also helps the community understand further on how others are using it and how they may be able to use them as well. So we would really appreciate if you submitted a comment here, and if you wanted to be added to the adopters file, you can add your logo to that comment as well, and we'll get it added for you. And if you have any questions regarding that, please don't hesitate to reach out. And then a quick reminder, just attendees, please make sure to add your name to the attendees list here. It's totally optional, but we appreciate it if you do so that we know who all is attending these meetings. Moving on to announcements. We have one very sad announcement. One of our maintainers, Garrett Cheadle, is leaving us. Tomorrow is his last day, and he is moving on to another opportunity, but we hope that he still comes periodically to these meetings just to say hello and maybe become a maintainer again or contribute in some way, but we will sorely miss him. He's just been really great to work with, and we had our long goodbye earlier before this meeting, but if any of y'all from the community want to say your goodbyes, please do so through Slack or Twitter or what have you. Does anyone want to make any comments before we move on?
Good luck, Garrett. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, we already had our goodbyes, but yeah, it'll be sad, but yeah. Moving on to content, we have a couple of blog posts this week. We've kind of missed out on a couple of weeks previously, just it's been a busy week for us, but now we're pumping them out. We got 2 blog posts posted: Converting Concourse Pipeline to YTT by Neil Hickey. Neil, did you want to give a little overview of what's going on with this for this post?
Yeah, a real quick TLD, or as I used to work a lot with Concourse, and one of the main interfaces with Concourse to building your CI pipelines is YAML, as we all know and love. And it can very quickly get very unwieldy, with some pipelines being potentially thousands of lines of YAML. So it seemed like a perfect fit to try to have YTT come and dry up some of that stuff. So this is a like tutorial / walkthrough of taking an example pipeline from the Concourse team and going through and just I guess describing how I would start off with pulling things out into smaller functional parts and reusable, yeah, and like making it reusable, and more maintainable. So yeah, go check it out if you're interested in just generally drawing up any PCYAML with YTT or specifically Concourse in this case.
Thanks for that, Neil. Any questions on this? Cool. Be sure to check that out. And if you have any questions or comments or feedback on it, please let us know. The next post we have is updating resources automatically when their referenced resources are updated. Kamari is not here today. She is based in India, so pretty late for her to attend these. But does anyone have any insight further on to this blog post that they want to share?
Yeah, nothing beyond, I guess, just giving general context. You can kind of see in the first couple sentences, but this is around CAP. And so for folks just learning to dig deeper into CAP, this is a good walkthrough.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Okay, and as far as content goes for next week, we don't have anything posted or in the works for next week, but if you have anything that you want to bring up as a community, you want to share any knowledge you have and how you're using Carvel or anything like that, we would love for you to share that with us. So be sure to reach out to us and let us know what you want to share and we can get it posted for you. Onto releases, vendor had a release, 0.28.
I can give a quick overview if you like.
Yes, thank you.
No worries. So basically 28.0 has a couple of bug fixes that stand out. One of them is if y'all are using Helm and you want to pull an OCI image, that's a Helm chart that now works, assuming you're using Helm binary 380. And there was an issue if you were trying to vendor sync using HG and your term info was misconfigured, it would fail. Now that works again. As far as features, one that stands out is if you're syncing a Git repo and that Git repo has a bunch of submodules, you can now configure it so that you can ignore pulling the submodules if you want to pull down a bit quicker. And if you're pulling a GitHub, if you're syncing a GitHub release, the tag for that GitHub release is now recorded into the vendor lock YAML file. That's basically it.
Awesome. Thanks, Dennis. Any questions on that? Cool. Do we know who this is? Someone from the community, looks like, outside of us?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Steve. Steve. Okay, moving on to status updates. Project roadmap. Anything to go over there?
No changes this week.
Okay. Just shout out to the community if you have any questions regarding this, any comments or anything you wish to see in the roadmap, please let us know. We would love to have more community involvement in what our roadmap looks like. It'd be great. All right, stuff that the team is working on this week. YTT validations.
Yeah, we've been busy this week. We're getting to feature complete on some of our out-of-the-box validation rules, which is very exciting. And we started doing some exploratory testing, which surfaced a couple of UX improvements we wanted to make. We're tackling those presently. Um, as parting gift, Garrett's been working on the increment for our docs around that stuff so that as soon as we get that released, even though it's still in an experimental mode, you can kick the tires on all these features. And we would love if you could do so and give us feedback. And then also, Garrett's been working on kind of one of the last of those um, uh, uh, validation rules that are sort of outside of like the core set, but ones that are now productivity enhancements. And that's what 692 is there. Outside of working on the validation stuff, we've had a number of improvements. A key here is group came in who's been doing some robotics, and they were using YTT, and they wanted to do some floating point math. They want to do some trig and some other stuff, and that's available in Starlark in the core libraries, but not in the base implementation that you get when you integrate with it. So they ported that over for us. We've had that in set up and integrated. The way that floating point math generally works, you can't really guarantee bitwise identical results across architectures. So it's a little warning if you use one of those things, not to worry, just reminder that it can't necessarily be deterministic across CPUs, but you should get the same result with on the same machine. But a little reminder will be there just to make sure you're not surprised. But yeah, thanks to the folks. I don't have a name there. Hugal31 is the GitHub handle. It sounds like it was a crew there. So appreciate that. Thank you for the contribution.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Using YTT and robotics, that's pretty cool. And thanks again to Hugel31 for your contributions. Any questions on that before we move on? Okay. SecretGen Controller. Who wants to give some color there?
I can cover this one. It's not quite as exciting as YTT, but as part of the next SecretGen release and from that release onwards, we will also be publishing a package CR and a metadata CR for SecretGen Controller so that you do not have to write it yourself. You can just take those ones directly from GitHub and deploy them straight into your cluster. And there you go. You'll have SecretGen with all of the defaults that we would use if we were deploying it ourselves. One happy side effect is that TCE, which is the Tanzu Community Edition, who basically was doing something similar. They had their own package CR for SecretGen. They will now be able to use this instead. So they'll be able to keep up and be in parity with us much quicker than before, where I think it was somewhat unmaintained. So benefits us, community, and the Tanzu Community Edition folks. So
thanks, Neil. And is the TCE team aware of this?
yes. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Been chatting with Nick.
Okay, awesome. Any other questions or comments on that? All right, moving on to image package. Joao.
And here comes the most exciting update of the day. Image package. So 3 things have been happening on image package. We've been working a little bit on the UX. There were some issues that community reported, and we're working through them and to make our UX a little bit better. The other thing is related to dependencies. We bumped like a bunch of dependencies. And in particular, we had a dependency that require us to patch one of those dependencies to change it a little bit. And this was causing major issues every time that we had to bump release on something, because we couldn't rely on Dependabot. We'd have to do it ourselves. We do all the dependency bump by hand. And we are working on that. We're removing this library, and we're using one library that we already have. That's the Go Container Registry library. And that way we are going to strip a lot of code from our code base. That's going to be pretty good. It's still in PR, but I hope that we can get it merged in the next couple of weeks. This comes with like an interesting effect. That is, we heard some people complaining about using OpenShift in GCR. Like OpenShift has a very strict policy that closes some ports and some routes when it is in a strict mode. An image package was not able to authenticate to GCR, the Google Container Registry, that now has a new name, but I forget, Artifact something. And with the usage of Go Container Registry to do the authentication, we believe that this is going to be no longer a problem. So we're very excited to fix this to all our OpenShift users. There you go, exciting as it could be.
That's so exciting. We had so many reactions of excitement from the team. Love it. Any questions for Joao?
Joao, you generate such amazing excitement. How do you do it?
Sorry, I cannot reveal my secret, or else I wouldn't be the bomb, right?
I want to point out we're at risk now at being a cult of personality, Joao's personality.
What the personality?
I mean, I try not to compare myself to you, Joao, but I feel like you really put the wow in Joe. Is that
Good? It was good.
Wait, mic drop and then end the call right there.
Yeah, I mean, how can we proceed? How can we proceed with that? No, wow. Great. Okay. Here we go. Discussion topics. So it seems to be all centered around these community meetings. The first one is a little bit more of a temporary question. So with summertime, upcoming travels, all sorts of stuff happening, I was thinking, should we move these to bi-weekly until September, or keep them on a weekly basis? There's not really much pros and cons to either. It's just more so allowing for how often people are kind of out, people in general outside of the maintainers on vacation. Just it seems to be a bit of a lull here, but curious about others' thoughts.
Yeah, I think this is a pro to decrease the frequency because I think you're right. And so what happens is if we can kind of bunch up the updates, then it's more signal for your time. It's more information for your time instead of some more incremental updates. I think they'll make them more interesting to participate in. So yeah, I think this is a smart move.
Okay. Any other comments on that?
Even though we're gonna meet every other week, we are still always available for y'all on Slack. So if you have any question, if you need us to jump into a Zoom or something, just come talk to us. We'll be here. We will not be meeting like in this setting as often.
And I think before we make a final decision, I might leave this up for discussion, see if there's anybody from outside of this meeting today has any comments regarding it. I'll put it in the Slack channel and just to make sure we're getting feedback from everyone. But okay. Now, along the same vein, community meetings, are we happy with the current time for this meeting? 10:30
Yes.
a.m.
That's a question like I'd like to understand if we're still happy with this time for the meeting, or if we want to jiggle it around. Just asking because there might be other meetings that I might attend if this isn't, it wasn't at a different time. So just to make sure that everybody's still happy here.
Is there a time that you have in mind that might work better? No?
Sorry,
Yes.
not really.
The only thing that comes to mind for me would be shifting this earlier so that folks in India could, join during their evening, or folks in Europe might be able to attend this more easily.
What about 9 a.m. Pacific time?
Seems like that, I don't know what folks sort of lifestyles are, but the difference there in IST, in Indian Standard Time, is right now it is midnight, and at 9 a.m. it would be, I think that's 9:30. So I feel like that's a pretty significant difference there, in terms of like how late you stay up to be able to participate in this, if you just happen to be in India. There's one interesting feature of having this at 10:30 Pacific time, not to share too much inside baseball, but sometimes there's a little bit of a scramble to sort of get all the I's dotted and the T's crossed to make sure that we have stuff to share. And there's a little bit of like room in the morning to be able to do that. So if we can find a way of replicating that last minute urgency as a stopgap, ideally before then we wouldn't suffer from the folks who are in Pacific time kind of rubbing our eyes as we get up to jump on the call for community meeting. So I just want to call that out as like something I wouldn't want to lose, but am pretty bullish about the possibility of this being a more reasonable time for our teammates in India.
Yeah, I agree. Something that Aaron and we were talking about yesterday about how to have a more better earlier process of getting information and making sure we have stuff to talk about and all that. Maybe starting like with the stand-ups on Monday or IPMs on Monday, and just me trying to catch wind of things that are being talked about that others might be missing, and I can catch that and be like, that's something we should talk about in the meeting or point out or something like that. So so 9 a.m. Pacific time. Does that, I'm gonna stop sharing so I can see everybody at once.
We could always try it for, a short run and then like see if the experiment made things better or not.
We can ask, like the India folks, by virtue of them not being here.
It's a great idea.
We could also ask them.
Cool. Should we just start a thread in Slack?
Yeah.
Does that sound all right?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna also do it. We'll do it in the public channel too.
Perfect.
So. Okay. Anything else the team wants to bring up?
So I point out, it looks like Garrett's already left.
Yeah, just put a little quick
Oh,
day.
there we go. Got one more day, Gert.
Oh, one thing before actually, if we do every other week, then we could do like the second and fourth Thursday of the month. If that works. I'll also put in the Slack channel to make sure others can chime in, but because then
Is it like-
that would mean we need to skip next week. If we started immediately.
I think generally there's like 2 months out of the year that have 5 weeks. So we'll just get some freebies.
Yeah, every once in a while, there's 3 Thursdays in a month.
Yeah. So we would still just do second and fourth Thursday.
Okay, no problem.
We'll do it on the median of the number of weeks in a We know that averages don't work well there, so that's fine. Anyway, sorry.
Okay, cool. Well, good meeting today. Thanks everyone for participating and offering your wonderful personalities and humor as always. And to those that are watching us from home, come join us. We're a fun bunch. We'd love to meet you. And with that, thanks, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Bye, Garrett.
Bye.